They signed up for a tournament. They ended up in a morgue. Today, we examine 6 moments where the human body was destroyed by the very sport it tried to conquer. No heroes, no glory, just the brutal mechanics of how a safety net, a fencing mask, or water can kill you in 1 second. Warning, do not attempt this. Physics does not negotiate. November 17th, 2013, Long Island, Bahamas. The location is Dean's Blue Hole, a natural wonder that looks like a dark blue eye staring up at the sky. It is a vertical underwater cave plunging 202 meters into the earth. To a tourist, it is beautiful. To a free diver, it is an arena where life battles physics. The event is Vertical Blue, the most prestigious tournament in the world for people who dive without oxygen tanks. The rule is simple: take 1 breath, go as deep as you can, and come back. But the penalty for error is absolute. The atmosphere on the wooden platform is silent. There is no cheering, only the sound of waves and deep breathing. Enter Nicholas Mevely. He is 32 years old, a prop master from Brooklyn, New York. In the slow, meditative world of freediving, Nick is an anomaly. He is a comet. Most divers spend 10 years conditioning their bodies to withstand the crushing pressure of the deep ocean. Nick has surged to the elite level in less than 2 years. His ambition is massive, but his physiological adaptation is lagging behind. He ignores the warnings of his own body. He wants the American record. The target depth is 72 meters. To understand this, imagine jumping off a 20-story building but doing it underwater, on a single lungful of air without using fins. He must pull himself down a rope hand over hand. It is the most physically demanding discipline in the sport. At 12:43 p.m., the world narrows down to Nick and the rope. He performs a technique called packing, forcing extra air into his lungs until his chest looks like a barrel. He takes his final breath and slips below the surface. The clock starts ticking. For the first 20 meters, he fights against the water, pulling hard to overcome his natural buoyancy. But at 25 meters, the ocean takes over. The pressure compresses the air in his wetsuit and his lungs. He becomes heavier than water. He enters free fall. He stops moving his muscles and lets gravity drag him down into the darkness. It looks peaceful, but inside his body a violent war is beginning. At this depth, the pressure is 8 times higher than on the surface. His lungs are crushed to the size of grapefruits. Blood shifts from his arms and legs into his chest cavity to prevent his rib cage from collapsing. This is the mammalian dive reflex, a survival mechanism buried deep in human DNA. He reaches the bottom plate at 72 meters. He grabs the tag. This is the turning point. Now, he must fight his way back up against a column of water that weighs tons. But at 68 meters, something goes wrong. He hesitates. He seems to struggle with the rope. In this sport, stress is a killer. Stress raises the heart rate and burns oxygen. Nick made a fatal error. He tried to force his way through a physical block. He pushes hard. He swims through a hypoxic haze, where the brain begins to shut down from lack of oxygen. The safety divers meet him at deep water, watching his eyes. He keeps moving. He breaks the surface after 3 minutes and 38 seconds. The sun hits his face. The water pours off him. The crowd watches in total silence. The rules say he must complete a specific surface protocol to prove he is conscious. He must remove his nose clip, look at the judge, and say, "I am okay," within 15 seconds. Nick looks at the judge. His eyes are wide, staring at something no one else can see. He removes the clip. He speaks the words, "I am okay." He flashes the hand signal. For 1 second, he is the record holder. He has conquered the abyss. But the moment of victory is about to shatter against the cold reality of biology. His eyes roll back into his head. His body loses all tension and falls backward into the water. The platform erupts. "Diver in trouble. Breathe, Nick, breathe." The safety team drags him onto the deck. This is not a normal blackout. A normal blackout is just the brain-saving energy. This is a catastrophic mechanical failure. During the dive, the immense pressure differential caused a thoracic squeeze. Because he pushed too hard and too fast without years of adaptation, the delicate capillaries in his lungs suffered a catastrophic rupture. Instead of air, his lungs are now filling with his own blood plasma. It is a massive pulmonary edema. The rescue doctor works frantically, intubating him, trying to push oxygen into his system. But the oxygen cannot enter the blood because the interface is flooded. Nick is drowning on dry land, killed by his own internal fluids. The helicopter arrives, but the timeline has run out. Nicholas Mavoli is pronounced dead. He becomes the first athlete to die in an official international freediving competition. The autopsy confirms the brutal facts. There was no shark, no tangled line, no equipment failure. It was simple physics. The pressure demanded a price that his tissue could not pay. His ambition convinced his mind he could do it, but his biology cast the deciding vote. The blue hole remains calm and indifferent, a silent witness to the moment a human mistakenly thought he could negotiate with the laws of nature. Jury, January 18, 1991, Wengen, Switzerland. The Lauberhorn downhill course is the most feared stretch of ice in the world of skiing. It is the longest race on the World Cup circuit, a 2.5-minute test of pure endurance where athletes reach speeds of 160 kilometers per hour. The conditions on this day are perfect. The sky is a piercing blue, the air is freezing, and the track is injected with water to create a surface that is not snow, but solid, rock-hard ice. This is the high-stakes reality of Gernot Reinstadler. He is a 20-year-old Austrian prodigy, wearing bib number 44. He is young, strong, and entirely focused on qualifying for the elite tier. He is not thinking about mortality. He is thinking about the finish line. He launches out of the gate, attacking the mountain with aggressive precision. For over 2 minutes, he survives the high-speed turns, his legs burning with lactic acid, his edges carving the ice. He enters the final sector, the infamous Ziel S. This is a sharp, technical S-turn right before the finish area, surrounded by thousands of cheering fans. It is the last obstacle. Gernot enters the turn at approximately 70 kilometers per hour. Then, the critical error occurs. His weight shifts slightly back. He loses his edge. He falls. In the world of downhill skiing, a fall at the finish is usually routine. The skier slides on their back, hits the safety nets, dusts off the snow, and walks away. The orange safety nets are the trusted protection of the sport, the trusted barrier designed to catch falling bodies like a catcher's mitt. But on this specific day, the design of the net contains a fatal geometric flaw. The mesh is wide, like a large grid. As Gernot slides feet first toward the barrier, his right ski does not bounce off. The tip of the long downhill ski threads perfectly through one of the square holes in the net. The trap snaps shut. The ski is instantly anchored to the mountain, locked tight by the strong nylon ropes. But Gernot's body is still moving at highway speeds. The laws of physics take over with brutal simplicity. The ski stops, the body continues. The right leg becomes a rigid lever, and the pelvis becomes the fulcrum. In a fraction of a second, the kinetic energy of his moving torso pulls against the anchored leg. The force is catastrophic. It is not a break. It is a structural disintegration. The pelvis suffers a vertical shear separation, meaning the bones are pulled apart by the sheer violence of the inertia. This motion lacerates the massive iliac arteries and veins inside his abdomen. The physiological damage is immediate and devastating. The safety net designed to save him has just inflicted a wound usually seen only in high-impact industrial disasters. Gernot comes to a stop on the white snow. He is conscious. He sits up for a moment, looking confused, The crowd goes silent. Then the terrifying evidence reveals the horror. A visible indicator of massive arterial hemorrhage appears on the surface. It is the signature of a compromised vascular system. He is bleeding out internally and externally at a rate the human body cannot survive. The medical team reaches him in seconds, but they are fighting a losing battle against hydraulics. The human body holds about 5 liters of blood. Gernot is losing it faster than his heart can pump it. He looks at the medics, his face pale before losing consciousness. The helicopter lifts him out, the roar of the rotors cutting through the stunned silence of the valley. At the hospital in Interlaken, a team of surgeons fights for his life in a marathon 6-hour operation. The statistics of this battle are terrifying. They pump nearly 40 liters of blood into his system, replacing his entire blood volume 8 times over, trying to maintain pressure in a vessel that has too many leaks. But the damage is too extensive. The structural integrity of his lower body is gone. At year 043 that night, Gernot Reinstadler passes away. The cause of death is a paradoxical failure of protection. The very device installed to protect him became the weapon that killed him. The aftermath was immediate and permanent. The wide mesh nets were banned forever from the sport. They were replaced by safety tarps, fine mesh screens that prevent skis from snagging. Every modern skier who crashes and slides safely along a smooth canvas wall owes their life to the tragedy of Gernot Reinstadler. The Lauberhorn race was canceled that weekend. The mountain left silent in respect. It remains a chilling lesson in engineering. At high speeds, a safety device is only safe if it accounts for every variable. Gernot was not killed by the fall. He was killed by the solution. January 24, 2013, Aspen, Colorado. The Winter X Games is the Super Bowl of extreme sports, a high-octane spectacle broadcast to millions of homes around the world. The setting is a neon-lit arena carved out of ice and snow, where the air temperature is freezing but the adrenaline is boiling. The event is snowmobile freestyle, a discipline that defies the laws of physics. It involves launching a 450-pound machine 60 feet into the night sky, performing gymnastics in mid-air, and landing on a narrow ramp of packed snow. It is a sport where the margin for error is measured in inches. Enter Caleb Moore. At 25 years old, he is not just a competitor. He is a superstar. He is the face of the sport, a Texan who mastered the snow. He sits on his machine, revving the engine, staring up the ramp. He is wearing a helmet and a riding suit, but underneath the jersey, his chest protection is minimal. A standard roost deflector designed to block flying pebbles, not to absorb the crushing weight of a falling vehicle. This is the standard practice of 2013. Mobility is valued over armor. Caleb accelerates. The engine screams. He hits the ramp at full speed and initiates a tsunami backflip, a trick where the rider hangs off the handlebars while the sled rotates backward. The crowd roars, but as the sled reaches the apex of the jump, a fatal variable appears. The rotation is slightly off. The sled is under-rotating. In the slow-motion footage, you can see the exact moment Caleb realizes the math is wrong. The dream of winning gold vanishes. Survival instinct takes over. He lets go. He separates from the machine in mid-air to avoid being crushed. He lands on the snowy ramp, sliding face first. For a split second, it seems he has escaped. He's down, but he is safe. This is a false sense of security. But gravity is relentless. The 450-pound snowmobile, still spinning with massive kinetic energy, follows him down. It crashes onto the slope, bounces, and the front ski strikes Caleb squarely in the chest. The impact is dull, heavy, and sickening. The sled rolls away. The crowd gasps. And then, the impossible happens. Caleb Moore stands up. He shakes his head. He walks around. He talks to his brother, Colton. He waves to the fans. The announcers breathe a sigh of relief, telling the audience he is tough as nails. But this is a lie. The adrenaline in his system is a powerful chemical mask, hiding a catastrophic internal reality. He walks off the course under his own power, but inside his chest, a lethal chain reaction has been triggered that is silently killing him. The blunt force trauma from the ski did not break his ribs. It struck deeper. The impact caused a cardiac contusion, a bruise on the heart muscle itself. Crucially, the blow nicked a small blood vessel inside the pericardium, the tough fibrous sac that surrounds the heart. As Caleb sits in the medical tent joking with the staff, his heart is slowly bleeding into the sac. This is a medical emergency known as cardiac tamponade. The blood fills the tight space between the heart and the sac, creating immense hydraulic pressure. The heart is being squeezed from the outside. It cannot expand to fill with blood, which means it cannot pump oxygenated blood to the brain. The time bomb detonates 20 minutes later. Caleb collapses. His heart stops beating. The doctors rush to perform CPR, fighting to restart the mechanical pump of his body. They succeed in getting a pulse, but the timeline has been too long. During the period of cardiac arrest, his brain was starved of oxygen. He has suffered severe hypoxic ischemic brain injury. The Caleb Moore who walked off the snow is gone. Only his biological functions remain, sustained by machines. For 1 week, the family waits, hoping for a neurological miracle. But the medical reality is absolute. The swelling in the brain is irreversible. On January 31st, the machines are turned off. Caleb Moore becomes the first fatality in the 17-year history of the X Games. The tragedy is not just the crash, it is the deception of the walking wounded. He died because the human body can function for minutes even after receiving a fatal blow, fooling everyone into thinking they are safe. His death forced an immediate revolution in the sport. Today, competitive riders are required to wear heavy-duty flak jacket chest protectors capable of absorbing massive impact energy. The sport continues. The jumps get higher, but the ghost of Caleb Moore remains on the ramp, a permanent reminder that you can stand up, walk away, and smile at the camera, all while carrying a death sentence inside your chest. July 19, 1982, Rome, Italy. The World Fencing Championships. The setting is a brightly lit arena filled with the metallic rhythm of steel clashing against steel. Fencing is a sport of gentlemen, governed by strict rules and centuries of tradition. It is considered one of the safest combat sports in existence. The athletes are protected by layers of heavy canvas and masks made of steel mesh, tested to withstand hundreds of pounds of force. The expectation is total safety. Injuries are rare, and fatalities are unheard of. Enter Vladimir Smirnov. He is a Soviet legend, the reigning Olympic champion, and arguably the best fencer in the world. At 28 years old, he is an unstoppable machine of reflex and strategy. He steps onto the strip to face Matthias Baer, a world-class competitor from West Germany. The two men salute. They pull down their masks. The referee shouts, "Allez!" The duel begins. The focus is entirely on tactics. Baer launches an aggressive attack. He lunges forward, extending his arm, driving his foil towards Smirnov's shoulder. Smirnov moves to parry, but Baer's momentum is too strong. The blade strikes Smirnov's chest protection. This happens thousands of times in every tournament. The blade is designed to bend into a curve to absorb the impact. But today, a hidden defect triggers. There is a microscopic flaw in the carbon steel of the German's blade. Under the intense pressure of the lunge, the metal does not bend. It snaps. The blade shears cleanly in half, creating a jagged, razor-sharp point. This is the critical moment. Normally, a broken blade falls to the floor, but physics dictates a nightmare scenario. Baer is still moving forward with massive kinetic energy. The broken shard of the blade continues on a straight trajectory. It bypasses the chest protector. It strikes the steel mesh of Smirnov's mask. The mesh is designed to stop a blunt tip, not a jagged spear. The shard punches through the mesh like paper. It enters through the orbit of the left eye. It penetrates the skull. It pierces the frontal lobe of the brain. The physical trauma is silent and instantaneous. The entire event takes less than a second. Bear feels the snap and recoils, raising his hand in apology. Smirnov stands still. He slowly removes his mask. He looks at his hand, then at the referee. There is a tiny spot of blood near his eye. He does not scream. He simply collapses. His knees buckle, and he falls backward onto the metal piece. The crowd is confused. From the stands, it looks like he just fainted from exhaustion. There is no gore, no horror movie scene, just a man falling down. But inside his skull, the damage is catastrophic. The shard has transected major arteries and destroyed critical brain tissue. He slips into a deep coma before the medics can even unzip his jacket. At the hospital, the doctors are helpless. The brain scan reveals the brutal truth. The injury is incompatible with life. The cruel randomness of physics has won. For 9 days, machines pump air into his lungs, but Vladimir Smirnov is already gone. On July 28th, the life support is turned off. The fencing world is shattered. How could a plastic tip and a safety mask result in death? The investigation uncovers a terrifying reality. It was a freak accident of geometric perfection. The angle of entry, the speed of the lunge, and the brittle nature of the steel aligned to create a 1 in a billion tragedy. The aftermath was a revolution. The sport was rebuilt from the ground up. Carbon steel blades were banned, replaced by miraging steel, an ultra-strong alloy used in jet engines that breaks flat, not sharp. Masks were reinforced with Kevlar and stronger stainless steel. The suits were upgraded to ballistic standards capable of stopping a bullet. Every fencer today is alive because of Vladimir Smirnov. He became the martyr of safety engineering. Matthias Baer, the man who held the weapon, lived the rest of his life in the shadow of that moment, haunted by the mechanical failure that turned a sporting match into an execution. It remains the darkest chapter in the history of the sport, a cold reminder that when you play with weapons, even broken ones, the laws of physics can turn a game into a tragedy in the blink of an eye. March 21st, 2015, Tijuana, Mexico. The municipal auditorium is a deafening cauldron of noise, sweat, and theatrical violence. This is the holy ground of lucha libre, a cultural phenomenon where masked heroes battle villains in a choreographed dance of high-flying acrobatics. The atmosphere is festive, thick with the smell of popcorn and adrenaline. The illusion here is built on a single, unbreakable rule: kayfabe. This is the sacred illusion that the fight is real, even though the outcome is predetermined. The wrestlers are masters of selling, the art of pretending to be hurt to entertain the crowd. If you lie still, you are doing your job. Tonight, the star is Perro Aguayo Jr., a 35-year-old legend and the leader of the Perros del Mal faction. He is in a tag team match against Rey Mysterio Jr., one of the most famous wrestlers on the planet. The mood is electric. The crowd is screaming for action. No one in the building suspects that the routine of scripted entertainment is about to be shattered by the cold reality of biomechanics. The match is fast and chaotic. Bodies fly across the ring. At the critical moment, Rey Mysterio delivers a drop kick, a flying kick with both feet, aimed at Perro's shoulder. This is a standard setup move, performed thousands of times in rings around the world. It is designed to knock the opponent onto the middle rope to set up Mysterio's signature finisher, the 6-1-19. Perro takes the hit. He falls forward. His neck lands on the taut steel cable of the ring rope. This happens in almost every match, but tonight, the fatal factor is the angle of incidence and the tension of the cable. As Perro's throat strikes the rope, his head snaps back with violent velocity. This is a classic whiplash mechanism. The force is not absorbed by his muscles. It is transferred directly to the cervical spine. specifically the C1, C2, and C3 vertebrae at the very top of the neck. The impact causes a cervical spine trauma so severe that it instantly compresses the spinal cord. The physiological shutdown is immediate and silent. The neural signal from his brain to his body is instantly compromised. His heart stops. His lungs stop. He is clinically dead before his body even settles on the canvas. And this is where the story descends into a surreal, televised nightmare. Pero Aguayo Jr. is slumped over the bottom rope, motionless. But the match does not stop. Why? Because of a tragic assumption. The belief that he is just selling the hit. The other wrestlers think he is acting. Rey Mysterio swings around the post to perform the 613. His legs pass inches from Pero's lifeless head. The crowd cheers. They clap. They laugh. They are unknowingly applauding a clinically lifeless body. For almost 2 minutes, the action continues around the dead man. Another wrestler, Manik, even bumps into Pero's body, trying to position him, not realizing he is moving dead weight. The referee looks at Pero and assumes he is resting for the next spot. It is a moment of total confusion extended into an agonizing delay. The momentum of the show is so strong that it overrides the reality of death. Finally, Conan, a veteran wrestler at ringside, approaches Pero. He shakes him. "Pero! Pero!" There is no response. The body is limp, the muscles completely flaccid. The realization begins to ripple through the ring like a cold wave. The referee finally notices the glazed look in Pero's eyes. The illusion dissolves. The music stops. The cheering fades into a confused, terrified murmur. Medical personnel rush the ring, but they are unprepared for a trauma of this magnitude. In a chaotic scene, they carry him out through the stunned crowd using a piece of plywood as a makeshift stretcher. The diagnosis at the hospital confirms the brutal truth: 3 fractured vertebrae and a cardiac arrest caused by spinal shock. He died on the ropes in front of thousands of people, and nobody noticed because the lie was too convincing. Pero Aguayo Jr. did not die from a dangerous stunt or a high fall from a cage. He died from a routine bump that went wrong by millimeters. This tragedy exposes the chilling paradox of death on live TV. It exposes the terrifying paradox of professional wrestling. We pay to see men pretend to die, so when one actually does, our brains refuse to accept it. The noise of that Tijuana crowd cheering for a dead man remains one of the most haunting sounds in the history of sports entertainment. It is a permanent reminder that the line between a performance and a fatality is invisible until the curtain falls. July 16, 1983, Edmonton, Canada, the Kinsman Aquatic Center. The venue is a modern cathedral of blue tiles, bright lights, and the sharp chemical smell of chlorine. This is the World University Games, a major international stage where future Olympians are forged. The focus of the entire arena is the 10-meter platform. To understand the scale of this structure, look at a 3-story building. Now, imagine standing on the flat roof, your toes hanging over the edge, preparing to jump into a small patch of water while performing a complex gymnastics routine. It is a lonely, terrifying place where the air is thin and the silence is heavy. Enter Sergei Chalibashvili. He is a 21-year-old diver from the Soviet Union, a young man carrying the immense weight of a superpower's expectations. He is talented, disciplined, and hungry for a medal. But to get on the podium, he needs a high score on his final attempt. The dive he has chosen is the reverse 3 1 or 2 somersault in the tuck position. In the code of points, this is a high-risk maneuver with a massive degree of difficulty. It is a blind dive. The mechanics are a physical paradox. The diver must leap outward to create a safe distance from the concrete tower, while simultaneously throwing his body backward toward the tower to generate the violent rotation needed to spin 3.5 times in less than 2 seconds. It is a game of inches played at 50 kilometers per hour. Sergei's mind is focused entirely on the spin. He knows he needs to rotate fast. He steps to the edge. He turns his back to the pool. He raises his arms. The crowd falls into a respectful silence. At 12:30 p.m., he jumps, and in that very first fraction of a second, the fatal trajectory is locked in. Sergei has made a critical calculation error. In his desperation to get the spin, he has neglected the push. He has jumped up, but not enough out. He is spinning aggressively, but he is hovering directly over the concrete edge. As he completes the second somersault, gravity accelerates him. To the judges and the veteran coaches on the deck, the tragedy is visible before it happens. They see the trajectory. They know the math. A collective gasp sucks the air out of the room. The moment seems to stretch into slow motion. Sergei comes out of his tuck to prepare for entry. His head swings backward. He is inches from the concrete. He does not see it. He does not know it. The unyielding rigidity of the structure meets the soft biological reality of the human body. He does not hit the water. He strikes the sharp, reinforced concrete edge of the platform with the back of his head. The sound is not a splash. It is not a scream. It is a dry, hollow crack, a sickening thud that echoes off the tiled walls and instantly silences the entire arena. It is the distinct, terrible sound of bone-meeting cement at terminal velocity. Sergei continues his fall, tumbling limply into the water like a rag doll. The physical trauma is catastrophic. The impact has caused a massive craniocerebral trauma. The skull has suffered a depressed fracture, and the brain has sustained a contrecoup injury, bouncing inside the cranium and causing immediate, massive hemorrhaging. The pool, usually a symbol of purity, instantly turns into a site of catastrophic trauma. A visible discoloration begins to bloom in the turquoise water, expanding rapidly around his floating body. The silence in the stadium is absolute, heavier than the concrete itself. It is a frozen moment of collective trauma. Coaches and lifeguards dive into the pool fully clothed, dragging him to the surface in a desperate rescue. His heart is still beating, but the spark of life is fading fast. He is deep in a coma, his pupils blown wide, unresponsive to light. He is rushed to the University of Alberta Hospital, where the best neurosurgeons fight a week-long battle against swelling and tissue necrosis. But the physics of the impact were too severe. The kinetic energy transferred from the tower to his brainstem was incompatible with survival. On July 23rd, Sergei Chalibashvili's heart stops. He never woke up. He died because of a difference of 6 inches, the distance between a gold medal and a concrete slab. The tragedy forced a global redesign of diving towers. Today, the concrete platforms are often extended, and the edges are padded with thick foam, a grim architectural apology for the death of a 21-year-old boy. The story of Sergei is the ultimate lesson in the unforgiving nature of physics. We build our dreams on air and water, forgetting that the world is made of stone, and it does not move when we hit it. We wrap ourselves in helmets, nets, and rules, pretending we are in control. We are not. Look at the fencer or the skier. They made 0 mistakes and still died. So here is the real question. Does watching this make you want to be more careful in life? Or does it convince you that being careful is useless because when it's your time, it's your time? Are you a controller or a fatalist? Pick a side in the comments. Subscribe for more reality checks.